Hey, if you're looking to buy a home right now, I don't have to tell you how competitive the market is. You probably already know. And you already probably know that there are multiple offers on pretty much every single property that hits the market. So, what do you do to set yourself apart from the competition? How do you go about trying to make sure that your offer is accepted over all the other offers? Well, there are a lot of good strategies that you can use to help get your offer accepted and to set yourself apart from the competition. But today, I want to talk about one thing that you absolutely should not do to try to get your offer accepted, and that is to write a letter to the seller. Let's talk about it. Before we get started, just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on future videos full of tips and strategies for buying and selling a home in the current market. And as always, feel free to find me on Facebook and Instagram at ESC Realtor. If you have any questions or if you want any real estate advice, feel free to find me there. Drop me a message. I'm happy to answer any questions and provide any information that I can. Okay, let's talk about letters to the seller. So, traditionally, letters to seller were used in competitive situations to obviously try to set one buyer apart from the competition. But more than that, it was a way to provide a human element to an otherwise transactionally based process. In theory, a letter to the seller you would think would be a positive thing because it does add that human element to an otherwise transactional process. However, the problem is, if you actually look closely at the information contained in these letters to seller, you realize that they pose a major problem, in that they are a major violation of the fair housing laws. Under the fair housing laws, there are classes of information that are protected to prevent anybody from discriminating based on these protected classes. Here in Massachusetts, some of the protected classes include race, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, family status, marital status, age, military or veteran status, and source of income. So all of this information is not allowed to be released to any party during a transaction, because if that information is released, then someone could theoretically make a biased decision based on those protected classes. Traditionally, these letters to seller would be about why you as the buyer fell in love with their home. And by itself, that doesn't really create an issue. However, the problem comes in when you start to look at the other information that was added to these seller letters. They would talk about your marital status, you would talk about your family status, you would talk about your job and what you do for work. And all of these things are a violation of the fair housing law. What's more is a lot of times buyers were actually attaching photos of themselves and their families along with these letters. So not only are you now providing protected information to the seller, but you're now also providing a picture of yourself and your family or whoever else to the seller, which is again a major violation of the fair housing laws, because you are now giving them at least an identifier as far as your race, your age, your family status, your marital status, all this information. The majority of the burden does fall on the shoulders here of the seller. The information that you are providing them from those protected classes may knowingly or unknowingly influence their decision, and it may unconsciously even cause them to discriminate against somebody else. Most agents now won't even accept or present the seller's letter if you do decide to submit one. Now, there are ways to still provide a letter to the seller that doesn't violate any of the fair housing laws, but they're not really personal. They're more of along the lines of your pre-approval, where they specifically talk about the numbers, the finances, and the important factors to your offer and why financially it makes the most sense to accept your offer over another person's. So here's the takeaway. If you're in the market to buy a home, you are looking for any opportunity you can get your hands on to set yourself apart from the competition and get your offer accepted. Stay away from any legal trouble. Don't violate the fair housing laws. Do not write a letter to the seller in 2021 to try to buy a home and set yourself apart. So that's it for today. Check out my video next week as I talk about 3 strategies that you can use to try to get your offer accepted. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.